Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, You Don't Need a Million Facebook Fans. I'm Meg Temple, the Director of Product Marketing here at Percussion, and I'll be moderating today's session. The presentation part of the webinar will last about 45 to 50 minutes, and it will be followed immediately by Q&A. So first, let me begin by introducing my company, Percussion. We're a leader in the web content management space, and for over 11 years, we've enabled some of the biggest brands to manage their online experience. You can see a sample of them here on the screen with the logos. The customers we work with range from high tech to higher ed to state, local, and federal government. And we do this by providing a very highly usable, flexible, and affordable web content management product. So let me introduce today's presenter. We have Harry Gold, the CEO and founder of Overdrive Interactive. We are really excited to have him with us as he's one of the pioneers and leaders of online marketing and media since founding his first interactive company in 1995. So welcome, Harry.
Well, thank you very much, and everyone, thank you for joining our webinar. As you can see, the title of this webinar is You Don't Need a Million Fans, and these are some advanced social media marketing tactics that you can start using right now that, as the title says, don't require having a million fans. So before I jump in, just a little bit about my company. My company is Overdrive Interactive. We are an integrated digital firm. And we help companies compete and win in today's digital marketplace by integrating social media marketing, search, online media, content creative, web and application development, all those things you need to deploy a successful online channel. Typically what we do online, whether it's social or search, has a measurable objective and goal in line. You're trying to get people to engage in a high-value interaction, or you're trying to capture a lead, or you're trying to do something like that. So all of our clients and all of these companies have that in common, that we're trying to use digital marketing to encourage desired behavior and really pull people into our brand embrace. And if you think about where digital is today, you know, the lines between all the different disciplines are really blurring, right? You've got search engine optimization, you have paid search management or SEM, you have online media, you have social media, creative and website development, email and marketing into your strategy. You're not really taking advantage of everything social can do and everything that search can do. So the reality is all of this stuff is starting to blur together. And that's a real challenge for today's marketing professional, because what's happening is we're having to go from being marketing professionals to marketing engineers. And being a marketing engineer means being more than creative. It's really a situation where you have to understand how all the working pieces of digital marketing that move people through the sales process work together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn all of you into marketing engineers right now, and you're going to graduate in like 30 seconds, okay? So you ready? Here's the deal. The trick to being a marketing engineer is to always be asking this one question. And then what? That is the key. Everything you do, you have to say, and then what, and then what, and then what? Because oh, I've been unmuted. There we go. I was muted for a second, and now I'm unmuted. So how are we now? Can everyone hear me?
I'm checking right now. We have one person who chatted earlier that they were not hearing the audio, but others are all saying they can hear you. So I think that was just on one case.
Okay, so they might have had a VoIP problem. Anyway, sorry everyone. So I'll start over. So again, the key to being a marketing engineer is to ask and then what? You know, so I'll give you an example. So often I see people putting a lot of focus into their banners. And they'll say, here's the banners. But then I'll say, well, and then what? You know, what about the landing page? You can't look at a banner without looking at the page that you're trying to get people to click through to. So they click through to a landing page. What are you trying to do? What do you know, what is the next step in escalating a prospect through the sales process? So now you have a landing page and they fill out a form. Okay, and then what? Well, then they have a confirmation page. And so often we hit these confirmation pages after you filled out a form, and it kind of says, thank you. You can go now. We'll be in touch. But it shouldn't say you can go now. It should say, thank you. Here's more cool stuff to do. And then here's an auto-reply email with more engagements. So you should always be asking, and then what, and then what, and then what. And when you do that, you can visualize sort of the whole digital journey or the whole customer journey that you're trying to create. So typically when you do that, you can visualize your whole marketing infrastructure. And when you continually for months ask, and then what, and then what, and then what, as a marketing professional, it'll force you to really get your head around all the little technologies and bits and pieces and tracking and all those things that tie that customer journey together. And you can put together a marketing rendering that's something like this. We start with your brand, and underneath your brand, you might have drive, where you're doing search, you're doing online media, you're doing social media, and you're driving people into capture, where you might have your site, your landing pages, webinars, trade shows, call centers, all those places where you're connecting with customers and you're converting them. You're grabbing data and maybe you're putting that into your convert module where you have your sales team, you have your marketing database, which might have your email system or your marketing automation system. A lot of people might not be ready to talk to you, so you're sending out triggered emails and email blasts and things like that to escalate people through the sales process. And then everything that you're doing should be wrapped in optimize. That is the ability to track, report, and respond to what's working and what's not working. And we call this drive, capture, convert, optimize. And again, the whole key is to say, and then what, and then what, and then what. So if you ever have a creative person who says, here are our tweets, say, great, where are the tweets, where are those links going? Or here's a banner, great, show me the landing page, show me the thank you page, show me the auto-reply email. Think as far down the engagement path as you can. So that's sort of a broader view of digital marketing and how social and anything that you do should fit into that customer communication continuum. So let's talk about social media marketing and why you don't need 1 million fans. And I'm going to break this into two parts. The first is to talk about your social channels, sort of that ongoing social media marketing that you're doing with your Facebook page and your Twitter account, maybe your LinkedIn account, and different things like that. And then I want to get into socially enabled promotions and content, those things that you do that are infused with social media technology and really allow companies that are never going to have 1 million fans to leverage social media, especially B2B companies. So, of course, the first thing you want to do in social is document a plan and leverage those sites and tools that apply to you. You don't have to be everywhere. But what you do have to do is say, you know, these are the channels we're going to launch. This is the kind of content we're going to push through. These are the kinds of behaviors that we're trying to encourage. This is the kind of value we're trying to provide. And then this is what we're going to measure on the back end. And once you do that, you want to sort of weave your social web. So this is an example I'm using. It's Harley-Davidson. We launched their platform. And of course, you know, the first thing is you launch your social media sites and you're out there. But then it gets hard. Launching the sites is the easy part. Launching your channels and your profiles is easy. What's hard is continually publishing interesting, valuable content that consumers and bloggers are going to want to grab and share and incorporate into their conversations. And the more you do that, the more traffic and commerce you'll drive back to your brand, back to your site, back to your organization. So another question you have to ask when you launch your social platform is, Why would anyone want to be your friend? People aren't just going to fan you or follow you on Twitter without understanding why they should listen to you. And I don't mean just becoming your Facebook fan. Why would they want to listen to you? Why would they want to consume your content and share it? Now, if you're Harley Davidson, that's a very easy question to answer, right? People love Harley Davidson. It's not just a brand, it's a lifestyle. People tattoo the Harley logo on their neck. So there's a lot of passion pent up for the brand. It's a likable brand. It's easy for them to get fans. But if you're EMC Corporation, well, that's not such an easy question to answer, right? People probably aren't as crazy about enterprise storage as they are about their motorcycle. However, people are passionate about one thing that EMC does represent, and that's their careers. If you're in IT, EMC can make you a better, smarter IT person or technology person, and that's why you'd want to connect with them. So it's very important to devise content that's going to be valuable to your target audience and tap into what they're passionate about. And once you do that, you want to identify all those sources of valuable content within your organization. Most large enterprises have incredible amounts of content that they could be pushing out to their audience, much like what Percussion is doing now by sourcing someone they know, me, and pushing that out to their audience. So you identify your sources, you take that content, you put it in your content bank, and you start to publish it. You're doing tips, best practices, tweets, blog posts, all that stuff. For example, what Percussion's probably going to do is take this webinar, record it, put it on their site, write a blog post about it, tweet it, do all those things that a company should be doing with the valuable content that they've created. So you're putting that in your content stream, you're pushing it out, and hopefully some of that is going viral. Now, this might not be as interesting as posting a Facebook page, but this is the nitty-gritty of publishing content in a social way. Now, the problem is that whether you have 100 fans or you have 1 million fans, you have to do this well. But if you do it well for a long period of time, something really magical happens. You push out all this content and you get a social link. And I'm not talking about a link for SEO. I'm talking about a link that actually drives traffic to your site and gets you leads and actions. And the more stuff you push out, the more leads, the more actions, and the more sales you get. And we know this happens. When people get active in social media, the amount of traffic they get from social media goes up. And when I say social media, of course, I'm talking about Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, but I'm also talking about all the places that your content echoes out into, blogs, forums, places like that. There's a whole world, a whole constellation of social media that you're trying to weave your content into. And I'm going to show some examples of that. So once you do this, what you end up with is your brand, this social media platform, and it's connecting to some audience of people. And again, it might be 1,000 people, it might be 1 million people. But the point is that those people you connect with are the spark, right? You can push content to them, and hopefully what can happen is if they think it's valuable and interesting, they'll share it with the people that orbit them, and you can measure that impact on your business. And measurement is a real challenge for a lot of organizations. You know, what do you measure related to social ROI? Well, I can tell you, I'm going to show you an example. There's a number of platforms where you can measure social media. I'm going to show you stuff from SocialEye. That's our platform. But of course, there's many platforms that help you manage and measure social media. The first thing is you want to have a platform where you can enter information, embed tracking links. They might be Google Analytics UTM codes, things like that. So you can track how many clicks you're getting from social media. And as your shortened URLs propagate through the web, you can actually tell where that traffic is coming from. The other thing is you do need some workflow. If you work for a compliant organization that's highly regulated, or if you work for a highly regulated organization, you can't just be posting and tweeting and doing things. You need to create a publishing schedule that compliance can go in and look at those posts and sort of click on that approve button and have an audit trail of, who wrote what and what was approved. And then, of course, you need to moderate, keep sort of profanity and things like that off your pages. So that's the first part, is having a system where you can create a publishing schedule, get it through compliance, push stuff out, oh, by the way, not just during the day, but at night, on weekends, times where people are able to get on their computers or look at their phones and interact with you. And then you can measure the results. There's really two kinds of metrics coming out of social media. There's metrics that occur in the social media space. So how many friends, how many fans, how many video views, media equivalent value. But then there's social analytics that occur on your website. And those are analytics that you're probably used to looking at. How much traffic am I getting from social media? How many leads am I getting from social media? How much am I doing in revenue? So first of all, in the social space, you want to look at, how many friends and fans am I generating? And you want to take note of when you have a spike in fan growth. You want to say, well, what did I do on that day? Was I advertising? Did I, drop a press release? Like, what exactly happened when I got that spike? But once you have fans, the really important thing, and it doesn't matter whether you have 100 fans or 1,000 fans or 1 million fans, you have to pay attention to engagement levels. And the reason why that's important is something called Edgerank. Edgerank is Facebook's algorithm that determines whose news feeds your posts go into. If someone never reacts to your post, they're going to stop seeing your news feed. So it's very important that you maintain high levels of engagement. So when you see that you got a lot of comments and wall posts, it's very important to take note of what you said on that day. And very oftentimes, there's nothing to do with products. They're simple questions. Like, here's an example where, we got 3,200 comments on the Harley-Davidson Facebook page, and we asked a simple question: how old were you when you started writing? So you have to ask those very human, easy-to-answer questions occasionally to get those big pops so you maintain your page rank. So it's very important to track engagement levels in Facebook. It's the same with Twitter, right? When you tweet something and a bunch of people retweet it, you're getting that viral propagation that you want out of Twitter. So also, you should be taking note of the things that have a high retweet rate in Twitter. And then, of course, you can look at your website and say, how much traffic am I getting from social media? How many leads am I getting from social media? And where is it coming from? And again, don't just think of social media as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. There's tons of blogs and forums and other places that pick up your content and will give you links back to your site. And the idea of ongoing social media is not just to, have fans and things like that, but it's to weave your content into the fabric of the web so that you build up this whole network of links pointing back to you. And those links are going to come up in search and all kinds of places. And really, for a lot of companies that aren't going to have 1 million fans, that's the key to social media success. So for a lot of companies that are never going to have 1 million fans, again, what you have to remember is that the fans and the followers that you have on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, those are the people who are really interested in what you're saying, and they can be the spark for your social promotions. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about socially enabled promotions and content. So the first thing to say is that most companies will never have 1 million fans. In fact, chances are your company will never have 1 million fans. But you don't need 1 million fans or followers to leverage social media. What you need to do is inject valuable, interesting content into the social media environment and leverage other people's social networks, and that's the key. One of the first things I want everyone to really get to know are these things, these chiclets, these share buttons. These are the social glue of the web. These things are like the little gold nuggets of the web that everyone should get to know. I've literally built my whole company by socially enabling our content, and I'm going to show you an example of that. So just a quick demonstration of what social sharing and chiclets do. Let's say I go to Harley-Davidson, I see a bike I really like, I can click on this link, I can take that bike and post it right to my Facebook page. So this is giving Harley-Davidson literally millions of dollars in free advertising, because even if a small portion of people do it, the point is when I post my favorite bike to my Facebook page, my friend Jeff sees that post. So Harley gets millions of site visits. So again, even if only 1% of people share something, that still echoes out to a lot of people. So the one thing I want to say is don't hide the share, celebrate it. A lot of people use these little aggregators like Share This and Add This that, you know, let people share content across a wide variety of social networks. I'm not a big fan of these things because I think oftentimes they're put up in the corner of every single page, and people don't want to share every page on your site. They don't care about a press release from 1998. What you really want to do is utilize the big ones and have them show up on your site as like big honking calls to action. You want to take, people want to share content, not pages. So if you have a white paper, an infographic, a video, whatever it is, you really want to take the important sharing buttons and position them as loud, noisy calls to action right beneath or next to or above that content. So celebrate the share. And again, share on the object or product level. Don't share on the page level. Again, some people put that Add This button on every page on their site, but what people really care about sharing are articles, site, infographics, images, things like that. And here's another thing. Configure the share copy. Now, this is a little technical, but basically what you want to do is you want to go to your webmasters and you want to say, look, when we add a share button, I want control over what the share copy says. So you can see here with my site with the social media map, when someone hits share, we've written the copy that shows up in the news feed. So basically what you want to say to your webmaster is, make sure that we have control, that I can customize the copy that appears with the share. This is really important. So I want to show you some case studies and examples of social media promotions that didn't require a million fans. Now I'm going to show Harley-Davidson, they do have a million fans, but again, then I'm going to show ones from companies that don't have a million fans and aren't required, weren't reliant, I should say, on having a million fans. But what I want to emphasize is that social media marketing isn't just about having a Facebook page with a bunch of fans. So Harley-Davidson had a situation where they said, it's great that we have all these fans, but you have to get people into the dealership. How can we use social media to drive retail traffic? And we said, okay, we have an idea. We're going to create a mosaic. We're going to take all these photos, we're going to put them together, make a poster, and then you can go into the dealership to pick up the poster. They said, hey, we love that idea, but we're going to take the image that you create and put it on our catalog cover. So what we did was we launched the site, and we said, hey, everyone, you could be part of the Harley-Davidson catalog cover. Submit your photo. We got about 12,000 photos in 3 days. We shut it down. We went through and we took out all the things that weren't exactly appropriate. And again, then the catalog was launched. And then we told people, go to your Harley dealership to get the catalog. And then you can go to this website, and I'll pop this website. And if you want to see the website again, you can just go to the link that's in the presentation. But basically, there was this immortalized social piece of art that, as I scroll in, and I don't know how this is going to come out on GoToMeeting, but as I scroll in, what you can see is that the whole image is made up of all these real people. And people are able to put in their code and hit submit, and what will happen is the image will actually zoom in on their photo. So this is social media marketing. It has nothing to do with how many fans you have, and it has everything to do with people participating in your marketing. And what did people do? Of course, they would click on that share button, and they would share the mosaic. So here you can see I clicked on the share button, and I'm sharing the link. And now when I go to my Facebook page, you can see that there is that Harley-Davidson mosaic right there in my newsfeed. That's social media marketing, everyone. Again, this whole transaction had nothing to do with how many fans Harley has, and everything to do with me as one of their consumers or customers or potential customers interacting with their brand and sharing their program in my newsfeed. Now I'm going to delete this because my friends ask me why I post this thing to my Facebook page every day. So let's go back to the presentation. So again, everyone was sharing this thing. It got incredible amounts of traffic. And the big deal was people who were in the mosaic went to their local Harley-Davidson dealership and said, give me one of those catalogs because I'm in it. And it drove store traffic, and that's what's important. So that's a social media promotion. Let's talk about what's going to apply to many more companies, which is socially enabling what I call lightweight content. Lightweight content is content that is easily shared. Okay, so here's an example of lightweight content. Sure, I could write a white paper, or lengthy document, but you know what? Here's something that's simple. I created this social media map. It's simply a bunch of social media sites laid out and categorized like a subway map, and Grand Central Station is Overdrive Interactive. This thing has propagated far and wide all over the web. I actually got a call once from the Department of Defense, and they said, hey, we want you to come speak about social media marketing. And I said, that's interesting. How do you know about me? And they said, well, I'm holding this map, and your company seems to be in the middle of all of it. So this map really propagated all over the place. And what we did is, again, this didn't take too long to create. It's not that pretty. It's a little busy, but it's interesting and it's valuable. And people shared it because they thought it was useful. They didn't share it because they were trying to promote Overdrive Interactive. They shared it because they thought it was interesting. And the way they did it is we put the social media map on a page, and we put these big honkin' share links on the page as calls to action. And what did people do? They shared it. And thousands of people shared it. And when we launched the map, we were able to look at Google Analytics and see that we were getting traffic from sites like Twitter and blogs like the American Express blog, like Open Forum, that we were actually getting traffic from the shares that people were engaged in around the social media map. So we were sharing on the content level. But the big deal is that bloggers picked up the map. Here's a guy who took the map, and we gave him permission to do so. It was a portable piece of content. It was an image. It was a PDF. People could email it. People could post it to their site. This guy posted it to his blog. He said, best social media map yet. I certainly couldn't argue with him. But you can see that the map ended up on blogs all over the place. And so remember the thing I just showed you where, you build up links around the web. Those links go back to your site, and what you get is traffic and commerce. Well, that's what happened. This one piece of content propagated all over the web. And the thing is, every company and every brand is an expert in something, right? So how do you map that? How do you own it? How do you make an infographic out of it? So here's another example of, what happened with the map. So someone might search on social media tools map, and my site doesn't come up. The Socialnomics blog comes up with the new version of the map. But the really cool thing is, check it out. 966 people tweeted my map off Eric Qualman's blog. So this is how, when your content ends up, your portable content ends up on someone's site, how people will share it off that site. So now when you Google social media map, our social media map is at the top of Google. And when you do an image search for the social media map or the Overdrive social media map, you can see that the map has just propagated all over the place. Now, I don't have 1 million fans, but I've got my map and I've got Overdrive content propagated all over the web. So for a lot of companies, this is social media marketing, and it does not require 1 million fans. What it requires is that you produce interesting content, you make it shareable, and you make it portable, and you let people propagate your content through the web via social media. And then here's where the ROI comes in. I'm getting leads. Here's a lead that I got from Southern New Hampshire University. If you look at the lead labeling, I captured the referring URL that's at the bottom of the page, and you can see that here's a lead that came from Twitter. Here's another lead, Expedia. This is a good lead. Well, it came from Socialnomics, that blog that posted the map. He also gave me a link. So someone from Expedia came to my site from a blog post about my map, filled out a lead gen form, and there you go. And now this goes in my CRM system, and I can follow this lead all the way to revenue. So there I am tracking social media ROI to the very end. Here's another lead. This one came from Google. Someone looking for social media mapping tools found my site, came in, and downloaded the map. So a lot of the success that you're going to realize from social media marketing is going to get realized in search, because all of that content you put out there is going to pop in Google. And people are going to be searching for something that you sell or some subject that you talk about, and it's going to lead them back to your site. The other amazing thing is I can do reverse IP lookup, and so can you. This was, Eloqua and different marketing automation systems will do reverse IP lookup. This is from a company called Visitor Track, and I'm able to actually look at where my traffic, or who's looking at the map. So even if they didn't fill out the form or they put in fake information, I can see that Amazon is coming to my site looking at the map, 1-800-Flowers, AAA, Anheuser-Busch. All these huge companies are coming and looking at my company because I put a portable piece of content out on the web, and it attracted them to my company. So again, this is social media marketing. It has nothing to do with how many fans I have. I'm going to show you one more case study. So I've shown you Harley-Davidson, very exciting brand. I've shown you my company putting out a very interesting piece of content. Let's look at a tech B2B company, Progress Software. So the opportunity was they took a word called operational responsiveness, and they really wanted to get people using this word, and it described what their product did. People might remember that a few years back, JetBlue had a plane sit on the runway for 11 hours, and it spiraled out of control in the media, and the CEO actually lost their job. Well, in that case, JetBlue was not being operationally responsive. That instance should have been ringing alarm bells in public relations, in operations, but it wasn't. And all these customers filmed it, talked about it, blogged about it, it echoed into the mainstream media, and it was a big disaster. So Progress wanted to define what operational responsiveness is or was. They wanted to promote it, and they wanted to own it. So the first thing was to go into Wikipedia and make this thing real. Now, back at the beginning of the campaign, operational responsiveness did not exist. So you can see here in Wikipedia, there's no definition of operational responsiveness. So they had an analyst go in and post an article about operational responsiveness. Because this analyst had authority in Wikipedia, it wasn't deleted. And he created a white paper, and again, the It was accepted by the Wikipedia community, and it stuck. And of course, it got indexed into Google. Then we did a whole socially infused integrated campaign where we started with goals and objectives, all the creative was done, a white paper was created, and it was pushed out through an entire communications platform that included social media. And everyone was driven to a landing page. There was post-conversion engagement. Everything was measured, and of course what was left was brand awareness and lasting data assets. And I'm showing this chart because it's the and then what, and then what, and then what type of schematic that shows where social fits into this program. And the social component, to get more specific, was the fact that the concept of operational responsiveness was taken out to bloggers, and we interviewed these bloggers about operational responsiveness and created all this content. So there was a blogger video forum on the site talking about operational responsiveness, and then of course we took the videos and incorporated them into a rich media banner that ran across all these banner networks. And what you could do is scroll through the banners, watch these videos of these famous bloggers, and share it, download the white paper, do all those different things. Of course, there was a YouTube channel launched, and of course, the bloggers themselves took their videos and embedded them in blog posts. So what happened? That content propagated through the web, it got indexed in Google, and the chatter levels around progress went up 442%. The program also drove tons of leads and gave a real kind of social level of credibility to the concept of operational responsiveness. Now, the cool thing was, before we did the campaign, there was 1.1 million instances of the word operational responsiveness in the Google index. During the peak of the campaign, when all this social chatter was going on, there was 61,200,000 instances of operational responsiveness in the Google index. So this is really incredible. And again, this is a great example of success in social media being realized through search. So you're out there, you're doing an ad campaign, you've got bloggers talking about it, you've got people clicking on share buttons and tweeting about it, and it creates all this chatter. But what it's really doing is embedding your content all over the web, and it's getting picked up in search. So this is my niece, and she, in this picture, she's 9 years old. I thought after showing you all that B2B content and charts and graphs and things like that, I would show you something a little more pleasant to look at. But anyway, she's really cute, and she was hanging out at my office one day, and she was bored, and she drew this dog. And this dog is just really incredible. I mean, it has personality, and it's actually my mother's lab. This is the most popular thing I ever posted to our Facebook page. I took it, I put it on my company's Facebook page. I said, look what my niece drew while she was hanging out at our offices. People went crazy over it. I got more comments on this dog than any of the interesting things we ever posted. So the moral of this slide is, it's okay to be human. Social media is the right place for you also to show the human side of your company. It's the right place to show that you have families, that people in your company are artists and musicians, and that you're doing good things in the community, and you can ask people personal questions about their lives and things like that, and really create a tighter connection with your customers and fans of your company. So the parting thought here is, in social media, it's okay to be human. So that is the show. And again, this presentation can be downloaded at overdriveinteractive.com/percussion. And I think at this point we will take questions.
Thanks, Harry. That was great. Very interesting. Make sure everybody can hear me. So I have a few questions, and we have about 15 minutes or so left, so please keep the questions coming. The first question is regarding earlier in the presentation you talked about shareable content, lightweight shareable content. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by that? What exactly is a lightweight piece of content?
Sure, sure. So what we noticed a lot was we had clients who were writing ebooks or doing, videos that required a lot of thought, a lot of production, or they were doing white papers. And what we were finding was that these weren't very portable. So lightweight really means portable, and also lightweight in terms of how much investment you make in that piece of content. It's always a shame when you spend weeks and weeks developing a white paper and you don't get a lot of downloads on it. So lightweight means that, number one, you're not that invested in it. You didn't spend a lot of time doing it. Like the social media map, it didn't take long to, think of all these sites, to organize the data, to put my logo in the middle. I didn't invest a ton in graphic design. So that's the first part. The second part is portable. Lightweight means portable. So that piece of content can be expressed as a JPEG that's easy for people to grab and post to their blog. It can be expressed as a PDF so that people could download it and they could easily email it around. And also, it was 8.5 by 11. So someone could print it, put it up on their wall, bring it to a meeting, whatever it is. So lightweight means you didn't put that much effort into it, so you're not that invested in it. So if it doesn't work, it's not a big disaster. And the second thing is making it very portable and easy for people to share. And that's the key to social media, is to be streaming out a constant flow of lightweight, portable content. So things like images, things like infographics, charts, graphs, checklists, things that, again, are easy to look at and share. The other thing is to make sure from a best practice standpoint that these things are interesting and valuable. They're things that people are going to share, not because they're crazy about your company, but because they think it's interesting, and when they share it, it makes them look smart. So that's the key. The content that you put out there has got to be useful and valuable, and when someone shares it, it's actually making them look like they're in the know about a particular topic.
Okay, that's great. The next question is, so with socially enabled content, how do you, can you talk more about how to make that happen?
Sure.
Like from a systems perspective, this customer
Sure.
is having some questions about that.
Sure. So one thing that we noticed is when we tell clients, and let me just sort of zap back in the presentation to a slide that sort of shows this. So here you can see that we have a piece of content, and positioned next to it are big share buttons that are like acting as big calls to action. Here, I'll go to another one over here. One of the things you want to make sure when you're looking, and sometimes with certain content management systems, this is tough because they say, this is where we're putting the share buttons. We're putting the share buttons in the upper right-hand corner of a page, and that's it. You want to make sure that when you're configuring your content management system, that you're working with a system that can accommodate social sharing. I remember, we do a lot of SEO, where we would have content management systems that were literally bad for SEO, and most content management systems got their heads around SEO and made sure that their systems didn't inhibit good SEO tactics. Well, the same is happening with social media now, that older content management systems can prohibit the placement of social sharing. So what you want to do is work with your content management system so that you're not just sharing on the page level, you're sharing on the content level, so that systems like, and I'll give Percussion a shameless plug here, but Percussion is pretty good about making sure that you can socially enable content. And again, this is going to become a much more critical part of any content management system, is incorporating social features like blogs and sharing and things like that into the feature set of a given CMS. But even if you don't have a content management system, again, go to your webmaster and say, I want to make sure that the important images, charts, graphs, white papers, infographics are shareable on our site, and I want them there as big, honking, noisy calls to action.
Okay. Next question. What is the best way to organize future content across the different social platforms?
So one of the things you want to do when you're publishing on social platforms, whether it's your blog, I'll try to get to a chart that sort of shows something. Whether we're talking about your blog or your Facebook page or Twitter or LinkedIn, is you do want to create a publishing schedule. Now, you can do it with a system like SocialEye or Hootsuite or whatever, or you could literally do it with Excel. The point is, you don't want to wake up every morning saying, what are we going to say today? So one helpful exercise is to create a publishing schedule in social media around your marketing schedule, around the schedule of your industry. You know when New Year's coming, so you could say Happy New Year as an example. So one of the things about organizing content is, again, to now think of yourself as a publisher and to create an editorial schedule or a publishing calendar that will enable you to, again, not wake up in the morning and say, what are we going to say, and also apply the things you learn from monitoring what people react to and applying that to future publishing. Now, that's what we call scheduled publishing. You still have to be opportunistic. If there's big news in your industry or something happens suddenly, you still need the ability to go right in and join the fray and join the conversation around that topic, and sort of take advantage of that last-minute stuff. But very often, you can pre-populate your publishing schedule with interesting things and have it map to what you're doing on the marketing side of the house. So the short answer is create a publishing schedule.
Okay, great. Next question. What is the best way, in your opinion, to generate new Facebook followers?
Well, there's a lot of ways to create Facebook followers. These days, here's the first thing I'll say. You see a lot of ads that say, hey, see us on Facebook. Well, why should I see you on Facebook, especially if you're not a likable brand? So the first thing is make sure that there's a reason why they would want to be your friend. Start out with, what is the value of subscribing to our newsfeed? So if you have a call to action in an email, like let's say you have your email list and you send it out to people, don't just say, hey, we have a Facebook page, become our fan. Say, become our fan to get updates on X, Y, and Z, or to get offers on X, Y, and Z. Really build value into becoming a fan. That's the first part. Then the second part is obviously to incorporate it into everything you do. Use your email list, your packaging, your ads. Encourage people in every way you can. Actually, if you Google 100 ways to make friends and fans, we have a white paper on our site, actually, that has sort of a checklist. And some are wacky, zany ideas, and some are very pragmatic. The other thing I'll say, and not to give Facebook a big plug on this, but the reality is if you're serious about social media marketing, you should have some budget dedicated to Facebook advertising where you can advertise your Facebook page and encourage people to like your page through Facebook pay-per-click ads. It's easy to do, even if it's only a couple $100s a month. You really need to reach people who don't know about your page and get them to like you in the Facebook environment. So, one thing is, again, why should people join your page? Have a very quick way of explaining that. 2, make a checklist of all the different ways you can promote your Facebook page. And 3, think about having, even a small budget to encourage Facebook likes. When you look at these companies that have millions of fans, I assure you that they're spending money on Facebook advertising to make that happen. If you're a consumer brand or another brand, you can also have a contest where people you can have what's called gated content, one of the things on our site is we have this resource library that was on our site that you had to fill out a form to get to. Well, we migrated that onto our Facebook page, and we say, hey, if you want to get the social media map, if you want to get these white papers or these guides or these checklists or whatever it is, go to our Facebook page, but you have to like us to get in. So the final part is to put exclusive content in on your Facebook page that's only available to those people who have liked your page. And again, that's answering the question, why should they like you? They should like you because they're going to get access to gated content.
Okay, and this is another Facebook-related question. Early when you were talking about measuring how Facebook, I think it was a Facebook metric slide, we have a question. Could you explain you mentioned Edgerank in the Facebook algorithm.
Sure. I want everyone here to Google Edgerank and read up on it. Basically, when you look at your news feed, you are not seeing the posts from everyone that you're friends with or every company that you fanned. Facebook is personalizing your news feed based on what it thinks you're interested in. It looks at the people that you interact with, the fan pages that you visit, the posts that you like and comment on, and it's creating a profile of what it thinks you're interested in. So then what it's doing is it's filtering out those things, filtering things out of your news feed that it thinks you're not interested in seeing. So what they did is that your main news feed is all your filtered content, and then you have a ticker, which is that real content of everything that's being posted. So Edgerank is basically Facebook's algorithm that is personalizing your news feed. So if someone liked you, but then never visited your Facebook page and never liked or commented on any of your posts, eventually they're going to stop seeing your posts. And again, that's why you really have to, going back to this chart, you really have to take note of what people react to. And you have to post things, even if they're silly little questions, that enable people to quickly answer or like or do something so that when you do post an offer or something, less engaging, they'll see it. It'll be in their news feed. So I highly recommend people simply Google Edgerank, one word, or Facebook Edgerank, and they can get a good description of what that is.
Okay, next question. Let me just, we got some good questions coming in here. Could you comment on Google Plus as a social platform versus Facebook, Twitter, YouTube only?
Sure. So Google Plus, while I didn't talk about it here, I mean, there's a lot of members. Google told us that they had about 250 million people on Google Plus. When I do informal surveys and I sort of say how many people post to Google Plus every day, I get very few hands raised in the air. So I think a lot of people signed up out of curiosity. However, I do think Google Plus is important from the standpoint of adding chiclets. So again, if I go back to socially enabled content, you may want to add Google Plus to the variety of chiclets on your site, because Google was very clear that they said, look, people who Google Plus a page adds weight to that page. So pluses to a page are like links to that page. It's a vote for the importance of that page. So from an SEO standpoint, I think Google Plus is very important, that if you can get a lot of people to plus your page, it can help that page get rank in the Google index. However, if you're a company and you're maintaining brand pages, I've not seen a brand page that got a lot of pluses, a lot of sort of members or pluses to their Google fan page, if you will, or their Google Plus page. I mean, Skittles might have 30 million fans. They don't have anything near that on Google Plus. So you really got to think about, when you have a Google Plus page, do I have time to maintain it? Is it worth the effort? Again, if you have the time and you have a dedicated social staff, sure, launch every social page. It's good for your brand. but then you have to maintain it. So I would say, 1, Google profile, great if you can maintain it. 2, important to add the plus chiclet so that people can vote for your page with a Google Plus share.
Okay, I think we've got 2 minutes left and one more question that we can squeeze in here. We have a question where one of our people want to know, do you think it's damaging to publish the same content across all your profiles? So if you have an article, should you publish it to Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn all on the same day, or is it important to publish different content to different media channels?
I personally don't think it's damaging, only because I don't think most people are paying that much attention to a brand's given set of pages. I mean, say take my company. If I post a link to an interesting video or piece of content or infographic and we do it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and we tweet it, I have never heard anyone say, hey, didn't you just tweet this 10 minutes ago? I just don't think people are paying that much attention to any given brand. I think posting something multiple times to the same profile can be damaging. And by the way, you can post something a couple times, like, hey, in case you missed it, because not everyone's seeing your Facebook posts all the time. But again, I don't think people care that much. And I'm not sure they're simultaneously viewing your Twitter account, your LinkedIn account, and your Facebook page. So as long as you're not overdoing it, I don't really see it being a problem. But if it's something that you're uncomfortable with, then certainly spread it out a little bit. Post it one day on your Facebook page, a couple days later on LinkedIn, and tweet about it a few days later. But again, I just don't think people are paying that much attention to any one brand. I think the people who manage the pages are, because they're managing them, but your average consumer or B2B consumer, I just don't think they care that much.
All right. Well, we are right at the top of the hour. That was excellent. Thanks so much, Harry, for taking the time to share all this info with us. As we mentioned earlier, the presentation is available to download on the Overdrive Interactive site /Percussion. You can see it on your screen right now, as well as the recording of this webinar will be available on the Percussion site in our resources section. So, Harry, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time you took.
Oh, well, thank you for the opportunity. And everyone, thank you so much for attending the webinar. And I hope you learned a lot.